Hello, my name is Leonard Macchiarella, and this is my presentation on the two informational interviews that I did. I'd like to start off with a Bible verse that I found a couple years ago that reminds me to keep trying as hard as I can through business. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. What this means to me is that running your business, you will always face challenges, and as long as you are always doing the right thing and trying your best, it will work out for you in the end. My areas of interest are video games, sales, marketing, and management. I hope to combine all of those into my own video game industry one day and be very successful through that. The two people that I chose to interview are Robert Jackson, who is the owner of Catalina Realty, and Daniel Steffen, who is the lead guide or manager of Bonobos. A good tip that Robert Jackson taught me was that there are many ups and downs in owning a small business, and there's a lot of inconsistency. A good lesson that I learned from Daniel was that you should constantly search for ways to improve the business, no matter how big or small those ways are. Robert Jackson, his career field is in realty. His position at Catalina Realty is the owner, and he's also a real estate agent. The reason I chose to interview Robert Jackson is because I've always been interested in real estate and wanted to use this interview opportunity as a chance to gain an insight at what the field is like, as well as gaining an understanding of what it is like to own and manage your own business of a smaller size. I think that was the main thing for me, just because I really wanted to understand what it would be like to own a business that is on the smaller scale for when I start my own. The way that I met him is because he is a friend of my mother's that I was able to get in contact with through his phone number. I went to his business location and asked if I could interview him, and he said yes. Catalina Realty is a company based in Point Loma. It was established in 1950, and it is a non-chain business, so it's the only one. The building is older, as you can see in the picture there, and it's a little smaller, so there's not much space to move around or feel open. The office is somewhat cluttered because of the space situation again, so there are a lot of files and stuff like that around. And the environment seems to be almost less professional and more relaxed when customers are not around, and I wasn't too big of a fan of that personally. And once again, there was limited staff because limited space and availability, and it was not like how big companies in chain businesses have a lot of space and a break room, and it's a different environment when it's a small, locally owned business. So some of the responsibilities that Robert Jackson told me that he had to do is manage a team of employees, constantly deal with finances, either with sales and customers or bills like rent or advertisement, electricity, all of the above. And that's something that is specific to business owners. He also has to search for new opportunities for work and basically search for houses to sell. And he has to go to events around San Diego to make new connections for new business opportunities. The skills that he said were most important in his field of work were communication, commitment, accounting, leadership, and organization. The lessons I learned from Robert Jackson were, he told me this quote, I believe he came up with it. You could have no work one day and too much work the next. It is important to work just as hard on both of these days. So here's a little story he told me about this quote more specifically. He said that one day he was worrying about his bills and worrying about being able to keep the business running. And literally the next day when he opened, he had multiple clients walk through the door trying to sell multi-million-dollar houses. And I thought this is a good lesson to learn when owning a small business because it teaches you to have faith and continue to work as hard as possible even through rough times because it will work out in the end. Another lesson that I learned from Robert that was very important to me was connections and communications. Just two key words that are very important in business because you need to master communication in order to get the full potential out of the connections that you meet in order to be successful in your industry. So would I work for this company and why? I do not think that I would work for this company at the current time because I am trying to move towards my personal career goal of that video game industry. However, I wanted to use this interview opportunity to meet someone and ask questions about what it is like to own a small business and how the complications that go into that. Could I see myself happy in this position? The answer to that is probably not, just because of the workspace environment. It is low energy and a little older and slower for me. I like a fast-paced, high-energy environment that is very modern and clean. The other person that I interviewed was Daniel Steffen. His career field was clothing sales at Bonobos. His position is titled lead guide, which is basically the manager position at the business. The reason I wanted to interview Daniel Steffen was because I wanted to gain an understanding of what it is like to manage a business that is not your own and learn how to use your position to make connections and advance through the company and gain this understanding through the perspective of someone my age specifically. I think it was very important for me to learn that through someone my age. The way that I met Daniel Steffen was I asked several friends of mine if they knew anyone that was our age that was a manager of a sales-based store, and a friend recommended Daniel Steffen. I was able to contact him through phone number, and he agreed to an interview. Bonobos was founded in 2007. It sells high-quality men's clothing, and its headquarters are in New York City. There are over 62 locations across the United States, so it is a chain business. And what it is it's basically an upscale e-commerce driven apparel subsidiary of Walmart. The environment is very professional and clean, as you can see in the pictures here. It is very modern and sleek. Employees are to wear suits or button-down shirts to work, and Bonobos has a very high-energy environment, yet it also comes across as calm and intelligible, so it is not stressful when you're working there. And I realized when I visited that all tasks were completed efficiently and precisely. So some of the responsibilities that Daniel Steffen told me he had to deal with were evaluating financial data of the company. So basically going through the numbers and using accounting skills and financial skills to assess where the company could improve and where they are doing well. He also had to communicate with customers to better serve them and increase sales, and manage a team of employees, including their schedules and their tasks that they have to fulfill each day. The biggest skills that Daniel Steffen said he used in his field of work are communication, mainly, presentation, accounting, leadership, and organization. The lessons that I learned from Daniel are, this was his quote, constantly search for ways to improve the business, major and minor. So the most important thing that I learned from him was how to stand out from other employees and earn those promotions. The reason that this is my biggest takeaway from this interview is because I've always been worried of getting stuck in one position and never promoting or changing. Daniel taught me to search for things to improve the business and how it operates, whether it is changing the way a shirt is folded or assessing the finances of the business and finding a way to cut out an unnecessary expense and saving the company a lot of money. By doing this, you are showing your employer that you work hard and also that you are capable of more than what you are currently asked to do. I would work for this company, however, not in one of the retailer's stores. I would be interested in a job opportunity with Bonobos because they are a socially responsible company and I admire their work ethic. However, I would want to work in their headquarters at maybe a main marketing position or some sort of high up management position. I do not see myself happy in this position as lead guide of Bonobos. The reason for this is because it is just simply not the field of work that I was interested in. In conclusion, Robert Jackson, the owner of Catalina Realty, taught me the lesson that there are many ups and downs if I want to own my own small business, and there is a lot of inconsistency. However, it is important to always persevere and try your best, as it will work out. Daniel Steffen, the lead guide of Bonobos, taught me that it's important to constantly search for ways to improve the business, no matter what those ways are, because it will really help you stand out and make a difference in the company. The next steps. So my career goals have not changed in the sense of what I want to do, which is owning a successful video game company. I do believe that my goals have been reinforced after conducting these interviews and doing research. The reason for this is because I gained information about how to operate a business that you own and all of the hard work that comes with it. I also learned how to make your presence in a company known and how to use your current position/standing to advance in your career goals. I will not be trying to get an internship through either of these interviews. However, I found these interviews to be extremely helpful in guiding me towards my career goals. I wanted to finish off with the Bible verse that I started with, which is, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." This is Psalms 32, verses 23 through 24. I use this Bible verse as a reminder to always try my best and to always do what is right. And if I do this, everything will work out in the end. Thank you.